Now, the final thing I want to talk about before I actually go into spotting trends really is we talk about the third dimension of price, which is volume. Now, volume measures the number of shares that trade every day, or if you like, the value of what those shares that trade every day. It is usually depicted in a chart right below it. It looks like vertical bars, just like you see here, and they're directly drawn under every single day of trading and activity that you have. So the open, high, low, close of a stock is drawn here, and the volume chart is drawn below it. Now, what is volume? Since, like I said, volume represents a third dimension of price. Volume usually shows you how big amount of activity is trading today in that stock. So if the stock of mine went up, let's say by a huge amount, but only traded, let's say 5,000 pesos worth of activity, then you know that big up move it made today can easily be washed down tomorrow because hardly any volume was traded. If 5,000 pesos was what used to push it up, then an equal 5,000 pesos tomorrow could easily push that right back down. And that doesn't give you a sense of substance. So what we want is a good amount of trading activity to follow our stock so that we know that good demand is following into the trend that we are following. So we look at volume because it'll help us describe the trends following. Is it strong? Is it weak? If the following is not too good, then an up move of a stock may not last too long. Also, if, for example, a stock is falling down and it's falling down without too much volume, that means that decline could only be lasting for a while, and that could easily be turned around as soon as demand comes back up. So volume becomes very important here. It normally expands as the trend moves along with it, and it drowns away when the trend starts to weaken. But one thing I just want to be able to impart, though, is if ever volume spikes up by a tremendous amount out of the ordinary or drops down also extremely by an extraordinary amount, then these areas could be telling you that the potential turnaround, the trend could become upcoming. And so keep watch of that. If you were to look at the example that I'm seeing over here, if you notice there was an up move taking place here in the stock, all of a sudden a big decline just happens to be able to arrest the advance. And on the course of these 4 days, a massive amount of volume comes in after the fourth day. So this tells you that after a big decline, good amount of demand came into the picture that took out all the selling that came out, and there probably is not enough sellers to push the stock price anymore. Eventually, look what it did. It turned the price out and allowed the stock to rally. Again, let's go all the way here on the right side and see this massive up move in price. In this massive up move in price, we have a tremendous amount of volume accompanying that swing. Like I said earlier, too much or too little volume may activate trend reversals. And so that means once you see this spike and volume is just too much, it could be that everybody who wanted to buy that stock bought it already. So who will continue to buy it tomorrow? And so when you see these price spikes in volume or come together, that can flag a potential warning situation that perhaps a correction or a pullback in price is about to happen. So here's a classic example of how using volume along with price can give you a good realm or depth look into a company and see whether you should be alerted, move more into the defensive, or let's say volume is only starting to pick up after a trend is moving, then you can go ahead and become more aggressive buying that stock. So studying price and volume become the bread and butter of what we're studying into this next few sessions.